Hello and welcome to my vlog. I'd like to talk today about how the software industry needs trout ticklers. Story time. I've been in the software industry for around 2 decades before I first worked with anyone who was in a role that was called delivery lead. Now, I'd worked with project managers and scrum masters and product owners and C-suite executives and staff engineers and team leads and all sorts of titles and roles and presidents and head of this and all that. And I understood more or less what these roles entail, but I didn't really know what a delivery lead was at first. At first, when I started at the engagement, it seemed like the role of the delivery lead was to keep the meetings running smoothly. And I'll say it straight, part of me thought, well, is that it? Is that a job? Chair a couple of meetings a day, easy gig. But I knew there must be more going on. And indeed there was. Now, initially, I could see a little bit of the value of what a DL did. But over time, working with this guy, I realised more and more he was actually adding so much value to the team and doing so much stuff that wasn't initially visible to me. Much like the iceberg, a little bit you could see, but there was a lot going on behind the scenes. And the longer I worked with him, the more I saw this value. So there are things on a high-performing team that you need to have that don't just happen. Here's a few of the things that don't just happen in the software industry. We don't just get harmonious teams that get on well and well-run meetings and good coordination with other teams and other departments. And we don't just get high-quality, consistent delivery. We don't just get visible tracking of our progress. We don't just get transition to other suppliers. These things don't just happen. These are just some examples. There's obviously a lot more I could talk about. And I've spoken before about the risk of arrogance in engineers. In short, because we can kind of construct castles in the clouds, we feel powerful. And we think we can transfer that expertise anywhere, that everything else is easy. If I can do this, everything else must be easy. And other people aren't special like us. But then I noticed things like, as I spent more time in the industry, that no, I wasn't brilliant at everything just because I could do software. So that's a little bit of a digression from where I'm going. But I did start to notice that when our delivery lead wasn't there, the meetings didn't run quite as smooth. If he was off sick on a holiday, and progress would get off just a couple of percentage, nothing that's going to be a major problem. But things that had been sliding smoothly into place, they weren't, and things didn't seem to happen as readily, and things just didn't seem to be as easy. And I was trying to, I'm just trying to work out what was going on here. And then somehow my brain dredged up an ancient memory that I'd read in some book somewhere. I saw this delivery lead as like an expert trout tickler. Now, trout tickling is catching a trout by gently rubbing its belly underwater until it goes still, and then you can grab it. It's not an invasive or aggressive thing, and it's not initially. You do kill the trout, but it gets results. It's subtle. It's not something you'd necessarily infer right away if you just saw a man lying by a riverbed. And I think that's why this guy was so good. He seemed so light touch, just adjusting a meeting by one bullet point, just nipping something in the bud, having a meeting with someone early, subtly providing support. I mean, for me, he would get alongside me when I had an occasional bout of emotional dysregulation, help me find positive ways through. And when he had to, he intervened hard. But most of it was more like a drop of oil here, a little tap with the spanner there. And I suppose because I came into a very high-performing team already, that's why I saw it that way, as very light touch. But I think there was probably a lot of initial effort to get it functioning that highly, to ensure every ticket was actionable and clear, and every meeting valuable and on track and not wasting time, but also getting everything out. And a lot of that obviously came down to other people on the team, a very excellent tech lead and a thorough product owner, of course, but their skills and contributions were much more immediately visible and obvious to me, whereas it took me more of a while with the delivery lead to really understand and appreciate the value. So what I thought about is there anything that I can take from this in my own professional life as one who's more on the engineering side? Well, firstly, not only systems, but teams and relationships have to be maintained. And the more I worked with this delivery lead, the more I saw that he was very, very good at doing this. And he was very busy, kind of almost behind the scenes, having one-to-ones with people, communicating with people in other departments, like networking, making sure that all the connections were in place, making sure also that our team, if there were any issues, they were solved soon before they became problematic. And that doesn't just happen. That's what I mean by things on teams don't just happen. If you let something fester, it'll fester. If you have that 1% off, and you keep going, in a year's time, you're going to be miles away from where you were going to be going. So it's that constant reorientation of the team. But it was just done in such a subtle way. And Secondly, excellence and competence aren't always immediately visible, particularly in another domain. So if someone does a job that's not my job, I shouldn't be like quick to think. I mean, and I was mature enough not to actually think this, but part of me was like, oh yeah, well that's not that, that's not engineering, therefore it doesn't mean anything. But when I was younger, I did think like that, and I really, really regret that now. I really regret it, because those are the skills I really should have been investing in instead of learning yet another programming language or whatever, as useful as that can be. And thirdly, subtle steering is often better than throwing toys around. So what this delivery lead did, he would adjust things very incrementally and very smoothly. And it was almost like you couldn't sit, but it's, some expert engineers are like that. Their pull request is like one line sometimes. And sometimes it is that gradual, gentle touch of just maintaining the system, keeping it moving forwards, not like kicking off and go, oh, we've got to throw away everything today. But yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting analogy to look at how something can be so subtle and gentle, but also incredibly effective, and to make a good team an excellent team, a very high performing team, and to keep it that way, because it's all very good to build it. Same in software, it's all very good to build it, but to keep it going that way. Yeah, one of the finest people I've ever worked with, and I learned an awful lot from him. So thanks, Ollie. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found it interesting. And these videos are not really necessarily about my main expertise areas, but areas of growth and learning. So if you found any of this interesting, please feel free to look at the other videos on my channel. Thank you.